we're going to get right into it now that we're warmed up. We talked about our kids. And yeah, I want to tell our listeners, I met you through a grant that we were writing together. And our guest is Abigail Reese Kelly. Is that what you go by?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I did not butcher that. All right, so thank you so much, AGZA, American Green Zone Alliance, for being an awesome partner and sponsor to this podcast, Roots Down, a Regenerative AF podcast. Really respect the work that you guys do in creating a just transition from gasoline to electric in the landscaping industry. We not only appreciate you being a good partner of Roots Down, but we really appreciate you being a great partner to the earth and helping steward new behaviors that can lead us towards a good, clean energy transition, especially in the landscaping industry where we need it most. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate all the awesome partnership. I've read you are a STEAM and STEM advocate, right? You're on a mission to inspire and empower systemically excluded communities. And I'm just fascinated with your work. I think that focus, I think teaching kids, I didn't really get that education when I was a kid at all. Like I didn't have access to any of that.
Oh yeah.
I think it's going to just breed a whole new, super intelligent, really motivated child. So tell the listeners a little bit about you and the work you do. And yeah, we want to hear more about it.
Okay, so I usually like to start back like in my origin. So being a first generation American, both my parents are from South America, Guyana, South America. And so coming here, education was definitely pushed. Like, you know, my mom is an educator, my brother's an educator, my niece is an educator. So education was definitely at the top of the totem pole for us. And I thought I wasn't going to go into education because all of my family was kind of like going to that realm. But of course, the bug kind of bit me, and I ended up working with kids in different capacities and nonprofits and doing in-home therapy, and then found myself into guidance counseling and really never left. And so being in education, being in STEM for the last few years has been really exciting. I'm definitely seeing a push where we're finally seeing a push to really be inclusive, and being inclusive not only with the diversity and things that we bring into, but also being inclusive in different accessibility issues, being inclusive in how we engage students, and making sure that STEM is not just a buzzword, but it's fun, and we're, you know, making things projects and really relevant to what they're going through. So I'm really excited to be in this space, and really excited to be in it at a time where I see like innovation like really taking off.
Yeah, I mean, technology is here. I mean, we're not going to bat it down.
We're not.
That gopher's not going back in its hole.
No.
Like, no.
Not at all.
Well, I want to, this podcast is all about climate change, climate action. And so one of the conversations I want to have with you is about exploring how STEAM and STEM can be an education and a pathway to green jobs. Because I'm all about, I think, we are not thinking outside the box enough for the pathway for green jobs. And people think that green, when they hear green, they're like, oh, they see the price tag to it, right? But I want to say, oh my God, there's so much innovation.
Yes.
And there's so much, I think, things that we can do to educate our kids to make them leaders and to solve all these climate problems.
Right.
So I want to know from your perspective what that may look like, and it gives some of the listeners an idea of how STEAM and STEM could move that forward.
Definitely. So I feel like we're like you said, technology is not going anywhere, right? So it's a way to be integrated into everything that we're doing. One of the green jobs that is STEM too that I'm starting to really love and learn more about is hydroponics. And so kids already are fascinated with how things grow, how plants grow, and things like that.
Tell the listeners what hydroponics is, because some people are like, what is that?
Right.
Some people might think we're growing weed.
No. I mean, some people do.
Yeah.
But this is education friendly in schools, and so hydroponics is just a different way of growing. So it's growing without soil. So it's really just growing with water and nutrients within the water, and the roots kind of come down to the water, get the nutrients, and the plants grows. And so it's a really a really, I think, cool, innovative way. It's not a new concept. People have been doing it for a long time, but I love to see how, like, kind of like vintage and old school things kind of come back, especially when technology kind of elevates it to a different level. And so hydroponics is an awesome way to grow all year round in your home. You can grow in your apartment. You don't have to make sure you have land outside, especially with a lot of people, especially younger generation. I'm a millennial, maybe telling a little bit about my age, but a lot of us are not able to own homes and things like that. You know, the home market is kind of weird right now. And so if you have a smaller space inside of your home, you can grow and have a garden just like anyone else.
Yeah.
And so it's a really awesome way to invite students into that, into gardening in a different type of way. So you don't have to only do it when it's nice outside. You can garden all year round. And so teaching kids about agriculture and a new way of agriculture has been really exciting. Working with organization, shout out to Greg Kraft at Produce, and he's been doing a really awesome job with bringing that hydroponics and bringing that collaboration with schools, STEM, hydroponics, agriculture, what that looks like inside of classrooms. And so teachers are excited, students are excited, and it's, you know, you can connect it to your traditional like outside gardens, but it's just a different way to do it. And so it brings a different type of perspective to it.
Yeah, it brings that outdoor education inside.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And also it's fascinating because you get to really see the life cycle of a plant.
Oh, yes.
Like on steroids. You can see like their whole root system.
Yes.
I think it's really fascinating.
Yes.
And I find actually hydroponics to be really interesting when it comes to like lettuce and leafy green crops. It is amazing because those are really nutrient dense crops that we have, and growing those fast. I'm talking like 15, 20 days. You can grow arugula to harvest in like 15 days.
Yes.
And people don't know that, but that's food. That's like nutrient dense food.
And like imagine just being in your kitchen and just taking some plants off, making a salad, making a pasta with the greens that you have, and not even going outside to do that. Like really going into your living room because some of the hydroponic systems are like so aesthetically pleasing. It looks like a bookshelf that just has plants growing out of it. It's really awesome.
Yeah, the technology has definitely changed. When I was a farmer almost a decade ago, which is crazy. I thought about that just the other day. I was like, oh my God, I've been back in Decatur as long as I was a farmer.
Wow.
So like almost 8 years, 9 years. It's like insane. Time is flying by. But I remember the technology back then was like kind of like it was clunky and chunky.
Oh yeah, and it was big and kind of ugly looking.
Oh yeah.
And now it's like it's so seamless. It's beautiful, to be honest. It's really, really beautiful. And just kind of seeing when we have like kids come into like an urban farm and what does that look like to them? Like they're thinking, you know, farmland, like what you were doing, like farmland, like outside, and they come into a warehouse where where Greg is growing like all of these plants and vegetables, and he has a bee room, and it's like, this is a farm. Like it's blowing people's minds and changing the narrative about what it really looks like now to farm and what it looks like to farm in an urban environment where sometimes, you know, depending on what's going on the outside with climate and pollution, things like that, some crops are maybe not doing as well, things like that, how you can have a controlled environment where you're still having healthy, whole foods, but inside. It's amazing.
Yeah, space is limited. It's like it's a real grab here in Atlanta. You can't find. That's one of the things. I am a proponent of urban agriculture.
Yes.
I do believe in it, but I do believe the model is a little skewed. It's like we cannot. No real farmer can afford a half an acre plot in Atlanta. Like,
not in the city.
Nobody can afford that anymore.
Right.
You know, we just had Will Johnson on. He's the microlife guy, and talked about housing, and it is insane. Like land is the housing crisis and the land crisis we have even in our county. It's staggering.
Yes.
So like we can't expect for people. And if you're talking about urban ag, like they're going to have to do like agriculture way outside of Atlanta.
Right.
And then what's that carbon footprint look like? Because they're going to have to harvest that stuff, bring it in. I know I used to do it. I used to bring all of my food into Decatur and to sell it. That's where the volume was.
Right.
But I was growing it like 60 miles, 70 miles away.
Right.
I mean, it's stupid.
And that's one of the things that Greg says I absolutely love. He was like, your food should not be more traveled than you are. Yeah. And that's like, I was like, wait, but that's actually so true. Like, even with, and people talk about the greenhouse emissions and things like that, but food production and travel is probably one of the biggest contributors to that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
I know everyone's doing, and it's definitely, we need to talk about waste and recycling and all those things, but thinking about how far your food has to come in order for you to eat is kind of interesting, and it's kind of, something that we definitely should be paying more attention to.
For sure. 40% of it to go into the waste basket and go to our landfill and pollute our urban areas more. Yeah. Don't get me started.
Yeah.
So we've just scratched the surface on STEAM and STEM, but so some of the innovation that I believe can come from this is building healthy soil. Like, we need better soil food labs, soil web food labs. Like, we need to understand like how to build the microbiology. This is science, right? How to build the microbiota back into our soil so that it can actually obtain life. How to reduce food waste and food reduction and what that these are all technology based things.
Yes.
So I want to know a little bit more about how, like, as far as like, I want to see your vision beyond just the hydroponics of like what some of these kids will learn and how they'll apply them to solve climate change in the future.
So one of the things, and I love that you brought that up, talking about food waste, one of the things that we are like kind of talking to kids about in terms of food waste and things like that is sustainability and how we think about what we use, how we think about what we grow, how we think about what we throw away, right? And so one of the things that keeps coming back, especially when it comes to food waste and things that our like grandmothers and grandfathers used to do, but we don't think about it anymore. It's like canning and all those different things where it comes back to, and I was just talking to one of my colleagues, Z, and was telling them like, oh, wait, all the food preserves that we use and we eat and things like that, like I still get, like when my mom goes back to Guyana, I'm like, please get me gooseberries, please get me tamarind. And the way that they bring it in and the way that they do it is you're preserving the fruit. But I didn't think about that until I was starting to like talk more about food waste. I'm like, wait, that actually is a thing. Like when fruits are in harvest, we do all these things to make sure we can have it all year long, but we don't call it the same things, right? So in the Caribbean, we don't call it like we're canning or preserving, but that's exactly what we're doing with a lot of the food. So kind of talking to the kids and bringing back those skills, but also doing that in a way that kind of links multi-generationals, because now we have grandmas who used to do that, then people don't do that anymore. Well, what does it look like when a grandma comes into a classroom and teaches little kids what canning is?
Yeah, like, it takes me every bit. So, now that I live in a very urban setting, I'm in an apartment, we have no, like, this is my first time not ever really having a compost bin, and shame on me. Like, I know the listeners are going to be like wagging their finger at me, but like, and I try, like, it hurts me when I have like things that, because I know like on the farm, we used to do so much preserving and really like doing, like fermenting, and everyone thinks fermenting, the first thing they think of is beer, but I'm like, no, like kimchi, sauerkraut, like all of that stuff,
all those things,
like pickles. The best pickles are actually fermented, and that takes 2 days. But like that's what you do with like scraps of food, and it pains me because like I live such a busy life, and I'm like, I can't do what I used to do with like, if I had leftover carrots, I'd shred them down and throw them into a jar with some cabbage and a little bit of salt water, and boom, I have sauerkraut. But nobody's doing that anymore.
No.
And I don't think we've innovated enough to make it easy.
Right.
So I hope this generation, I hope the people that you're teaching can come up with like really cool solutions. Like they are now like coming up with countertop food waste solutions. And I'm like, so there's going to be ways, I think in the future, there's going to be a way that we can like take our food scraps and just like shred them, like throw them in this thing and shred them down, boom, and it just like puts salt and puts water on it, and then boom, you're like canning and you're preserving. I don't know. I'm just speaking from the hip.
I mean, I feel like we have all this technology, right? And so taking and doing the olds back to what we used to do and kind of creating and putting that technology into it. Those things, I mean, you may have caught on to something. I don't know. You might want to patent that before the episode is done. Try to see what that looks like.
I have so many fucking harebrained ideas. If I got $1 for every harebrained idea I had, like I don't know.
But
I'd be in Paris.
But really, like when I talk to kids and they still have like that dream big kind of concept, right? Of like, what if we can do that? Like, what if you can? Like, show me what that can look like. And they will come up with these amazing ideas. I actually was at a fundraiser last night for the next It Girl. She's bringing Black girls into information technology. And so they had a hackathon and they were doing sustainable clothing and sustainable fashion. And so these young women were coming up with some amazing, like when I tell you amazing products. So they showed their clothes and their innovation through a looking glass. That's the first time I've ever seen a looking glass. So it's basically like a 3D rendering of your fashion, and it like turns on just like a simple like tablet box like that. And it's showing you their designs as they're talking about it. Mind blowing, first of all.
Wow.
And so there were 3 different groups, and they were talking about like how to do sustainable fashion. So one was using they were using their concept of clothes, and it was 3 Ethiopian students, and they talked about how like their cousins back home, like especially during puberty when you're growing so much, you don't have opportunity to continue to buy clothes and things like that, and if you're on a budget or you don't have access to those things, what that looks like. And so they came up with a concept that's called the perfect fit. And so it's a concept where the clothes have like microns in it, and it kind of like detects your size, and it fits.
What?
It fits you. They had 3 different sizing models, from newborn to toddler, from toddler to preteen, from preteen to young adult. And the clothes, you can design it so it's like a kind of like you would put a design in a computer or something like that, and it would then post a design on your picture. So you can have different clothing. What?
I want to see this.
At 14, 15, 16, 17, I was not thinking on that level of, oh my gosh, my cousin don't have the same access as me in Guyana. What can I do to do? Like, these young people are taking the innovation of technology and sustainability, because it's like, now you don't have to have all these bins of clothes, right? You could have 1 or 2 outfits that you can post a different image on so you can still look fashionable and change it up, but it can last you for years because of how you're growing. Amazing.
I love that. And that is an industry. Let's talk about that. It's an industry, like the fashion industry, that needs to do something.
Yes.
Like it is, fast fashion is bad.
Oh, yeah.
And it needs to do something to innovate. And one of the things that's interesting, and when you were talking about that project, it kind of reminded me that kids now have access to so much more. Right, than we ever did growing up, and than I ever did. Like, I never had a computer until I was like 18 years old.
Right.
I'm not really telling my age, but, so I didn't grow up with a computer. You know, like I got a Nintendo when I was 14. That was when it came out.
Right.
You know, and I remember like feeling, you know, kind of like as a kid, you're imagining different things, but you're not using technology
in the same way.
No. And kids now,
no.
I think it is compounding. Like, now that they're using technology, they have access to so much information. They see so much. They're inspired by so much.
Yes.
They're more like, they're so much more global, right, in their perspective.
Yes.
Which gives me a lot of hope, which I hope it's not going to be like all garbage, and we're not going to turn to the world. I don't know if you ever saw Idiocracy.
No.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'll put that down in my notes as things I need to look up.
That movie, it is almost sad watching it now because it talks about like technology and what it looks like in the future, and how the dumbing down of people, and people just get dumb. Like, they use technology all wrong.
Right, but it's not efficient. It's not doing anything. It's not helping them.
The English language completely collapses. like, and then, you know, that's where they like show like some of the first on air. They show the first prototype of Crocs.
Oh, wow.
So it was really fascinating.
Oh, wow.
So I was just drawing that connection to fashion. But I think like it's a dystopian movie, and it's hilarious, and it's just like stupid and completely irreverent, but you should watch it.
Okay.
You should watch it. But I think like now they're having access to so much technology that we have to find a way, and that's going to be my next question. How do we find a way to get rid of all the bullshit, right? And really maybe I don't want to put blinders on them, because I want them to see that there's garbage out there. But how do we get them away from the garbage?
Right. I feel like especially as a parent too, right? I'm always like hawking like over what the boys are looking at, what they're listening to, things like that. And I think certain things, and especially in education, what I think that a lot of teachers are doing well is making sure that project things that they're talking to kids about are relevant, and making sure that they could connect with whether it's a problem that they see around them, or it's an issue, or it's a crisis, or things like that, kind of making it relevant. So it kind of in that sense puts blinders on where they need to focus and where they should be looking to, versus like, this is the World Wide Web, like have fun, like, and you can get in a rabbit hole. I mean, I've done it before where you kind of become like a scroll zombie where you're like, wait, 45 minutes has passed and I've been on the same app or the same, like, you just kind of get into that role, right? But especially if you do like problem-based learning where you give them a focus, like issue, a focus question, like, okay, like take climate sustainability and fashion, and what kind of things you come up with that, and you have these amazing projects, amazing things. Is a focus question, right? It kind of gets them kind of into this one zone, and then they kind of branch out in there. But you need to give kids parameters. You need to give adults parameters too, definitely, but kids parameters, so that way they know kind of what they should be looking for. Teaching them research skills, that's like a major thing. Like I had to also tell my boys, because they're 5 and 7, so they're now like getting, YouTube is like a real fascination for them. So I have to like kind of put, no, you cannot go on Roblox. Like I don't know what's going on in the world of Roblox. Maybe because I'm an older millennial, it's kind of weird to me. I'm like,
it was a thing when my child's 15, and sometimes she gets an inkling. She's like, I need to play Roblox, and I'm like, what? But back when she was 10,
Sims or something like that, when we were kind of, but Roblox seems kind of weird to me. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, it's a
different type of.
Yeah, we're showing our age.
Yeah, we're showing our age. Okay.
It is Roblox. Roblox is definitely fascinating. They like have like little breakout rooms where you can do fashion shows and all kinds. It is really weird.
Yeah.
I think it's actually borderline still creative. It's not like Minecraft creative. It's not as I guess clean as Minecraft,
right?
Or PC as Minecraft, but I think it definitely plays a part.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yes, I kind of like give them parameters, right, and kind of things, but basically teaching kids like how to research efficiently. Like when I was growing up, you went to the library. I still take my kids to the library. I love libraries. Like libraries still have a place, and we have to change our perspective on how we use library and those kind of things.
What is this this room of dusty books? Right. What are we doing here?
Right. But I mean, we keep a library in our home. Like I emphasize, we have a drop everything and read time within our family, where all four of us will sit down with our books. Like I want to emphasize, right, the power and the beauty of actually opening up like a spined book and reading the words that's on it, right? But in our technology world, you had to do a balance of reading actual printed text and also making sure they understand, like, what is it? The internet is a thing, right? It's a part of our lives. It's not going anywhere. It's getting larger. We're doing AI and all this stuff. Like, how do we research efficiently and appropriately to make sure that what we're getting is actual facts? Like people have researches, like this is not, everything you see on the internet is not real. It's not like informative. It can be garbage. And so in doing a lot of these like STEM based projects and things like that, like you teach those kids those skills and what they need to make sure that when they become like awesome community-focused adults, like the information that they're getting and they're giving is actual information.
Do we have, so I want to ask this question, and my child has been a product of the Decatur City School System, and and it's been pretty good. I do have some grievances, but I won't air them today. But do you think that we have enough inside of the school, enough STEAM and STEM embedded into our education at the schools?
No. And it's not always the fault of schools, right? If schools are a big like business organization, right, that teachers are in there, they're doing the work. Unfortunately, because teachers and schools may have their heads down doing the work, doing testing, all those things, the innovation that's happening around them cannot keep up with the pace of your standards and how this works and that kind of thing. And so that's what I love to bring to schools, and that's what I've been doing for the past few years, is making sure schools can partner with organizations, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's businesses, to say, hey, this is what we're working on in the real world. This is what's relevant. This is what you need to focus the kids on. Like, I know that all those things are cute and those work with your standards.
Right.
Find a way to get actual business minds and nonprofit organizations and colleges, right, who are doing the work outside of these entities. And it has to be a way to partner so that way our kids are not learning things that by the time they get out of school is obsolete. And that's how we're always playing the catch-up race, right? Because what we're teaching inside of the classrooms, if it's not relevant, it's not cutting edge, it's not what's happening last 5 minutes, our kids are behind.
Right.
Our kids are behind. And so we have to make sure that we have these intentional partnerships that really relays and works with schools and works with teachers to make sure that the information and the things and the skills that we're needing in both places happen.
All right. So we had a big conversation today about STEAM and STEM, and I want to bring it back to how I believe that it is a good way for kids to solve one of our biggest existential crises, which is fucking climate change. It's on everyone's minds. Do you feel like this is a good tool? I work with a lot of 18 to 25-year-olds. I don't work with a lot of little kids. I can't say like I kind of twitched there for a minute. I do love other people's kids, but just like at a distance, But like that generation, young kids, like are they worried about climate change?
Yes, I believe that they are, and I think they understand like what's going on. There's a lot of buzzwords and things around it, but I think they understand like our world is changing and it's not changing for the best, right? It's not changing for the best way. And so, unfortunately, we've kind of left them this gift, right? Of, hey, we kind of mess things up like really, really badly. It's up to you guys to kind of like now come together, be creative. You're fun, you're young, and fix the mess that we left you guys for like the past, I don't know, decades of we just doing stuff.
No big deal, right? You may not be able to have children,
right?
Like our environment may be completely destroyed. You may never know what a banana is,
right?
Right. But have fun, solve this.
Yes.
And we look to the older generation. We look to the boomers, and we're like, we're wagging our finger at them, right? And then the younger kids are wagging our finger at us.
Looking like, what are you doing?
I find it like, I'm curious. Like my kid, I don't think really showed a lot of interest in climate until she was about 10. And I remember her saying, "Are we going to be like?" She'd asked, like, "Are we going to be okay? Are things going to be okay?" And I'm like,
"What did you say?"
I don't. To be honest, I'm like, I think we will. I mean, things may get rough, but I think we will. I mean, we are, I don't know, we are a resilient, crazy species. We'll find a way to like fly up to the stratosphere and do shit, grow hydroponics on an orbiting different moon that we create. I don't know.
Right.
But, I feel like, and I say this often, I feel like the planet is going to eventually be okay. I feel like we do a lot of damage, but we need it.
Right.
Like, we need it. And I tell her, I'm like, we need this planet in order for us to survive, for us to have our bananas and our dates and our and all of the creature comforts that we have. Like, we in our clothes. Like, we need the planet for that. We should start, and that's been my philosophy, is like, we should start really paying attention to what the planet needs from us and giving a little back. Like, don't be so stingy. Right.
All the give.
Yeah. Like, don't be so stingy. But I think she noticed at 10 that, like she does have a job to do. She is worried about it. She is following in my footsteps. She's going to Vogue school in New York this summer. And I'm super excited about that. And her angle is like, the fashion industry itself, like the business of fashion, she's interested in that and like making it more sustainable. But of course, I mean, I'm not gonna deny her. She wants some of the nice things, and she knows some of the nice brands. But how can we work better?
Right.
But yes, I often wonder about young kids and if they are going to bed anxious and if they feel stressed out about climate change and if you're seeing that in a lot of their STEAM and STEM projects, if you're seeing solution-based things coming out of that.
Yeah, so I'm definitely seeing solutions. I don't know if they're as anxious as maybe like we kind of are. I think they're more optimistic, right? And because they see the innovation that they can do, they're very creative. They're very forward thinking. Yeah, in the back of their mind is like, oh, this looks kind of crazy, but then they're in a space where they're like, okay, so what can we do about it? And I feel like that's what makes me smile and makes me like, okay, I think we're going to be okay, is because kids are like, okay, this is a problem, like what can we do about it? What solutions are there out there? What things do I have access to that can kind of make things better, or what things can I do, or what strategies can we have? And they're becoming like grassroots kind of putting things together. I mean, I see kids as young as elementary school, like talking, like science fairs are different now, right? It's not just like, oh, look, I did a hydrogen and gas balloon. Like they're just talking about like, what are different, like electricity and things like that we can use to kind of build whole cities around. Like they're being that innovative. And part of it is adults like us kind of like framing it for them, right? That these are the questions, but then they're taking what we're giving them as a framework and they're just kind of blowing our minds. And that's what I love, and that's what I want to see more of. And that's why we have to make sure that STEM and STEAM is not just a siloed kind of thing just for these type of students, just for students that are good in science or good in math. Like it's for everyone, because everyone has solutions, everyone has perspective they can bring to the table and experience they can bring to the table to make things better.
I think maybe technology got us into this mess, but I do think it will be the answer.
Technology will take us out of it.
It will. And I think it will make, you hear a lot of interesting things about ways we can harness the energy coming from the sun, and just that alone. Like we could power the whole world on if we just learned how to harness the energy of the sun. I watch a podcast that talks about like energy, and it's amazing how like we're like a type 2 civilization and like in a type 3 civilization that we have learned to harvest all the energy from the sun. And I'm like, well, that would be so boss.
That would be awesome.
And I hope that they figure that out. I hope that they do. This has been an awesome conversation.
Yes.
And I this is like almost like a natural ending, because you just provided so much hope, and you put a smile on my face to like say that all the kids' time on TikTok wasn't wasted. Maybe they're learning. Maybe they're learning something. Shit, and
Instagram.
I agree. Like, I mean, I'm using it. I'm using it now, and I find it fascinating. And I just hope that they can weed the garbage out.
Yes.
And I thank you very much for being you.
No problem.
I can't wait to work with you. I really hope this grant comes through.
Yes, we're praying. We're everything. Like, and even like. I'm in a space where I'm so optimistic, like that's not going to stop us, right? Like,
hell no.
The work still has to be done, the collaboration still has to be made, the impact still has to be felt. So if it's not this, then what else are we doing? Because we can't stop. Like we just can't.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Okay.
Awesome. Fist bump. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it so much. And tell people where to find you.
So I am Abigail Reese Kelly on LinkedIn. I'm on Art Consulting, so that website is coming out soon, and so will be some socials coming out. So hopefully by January I'll kind of have that platform a little bit done. But you can always connect with me on LinkedIn for sure.
Awesome.
I'm there. I'm talking about stuff. I mean, I love to connect. I love to partner. So
awesome. We'll look forward to it.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right.